Good morning, fellow traders. Black Coffee Trader coming to you on a Thursday morning, the 26th of February, day after NVIDIA. Looking at the markets this morning, we are finally out of this channel we've been in, but are we right back into a new channel? Possibly. Does this become, I mean, it's very, very early, so that's almost unfair to even mention it that way. But NQ was certainly the outperformer yesterday. Big move to the upside off the open. Very, very hard to catch. And we had a big pop at NVIDIA earnings right after the close of market yesterday, of New York session yesterday. And we've given some back, and we've kind of started a channel a little bit from yesterday, kind of that intraday afternoon session. So the alarming thing really is, like I said, is this area right here. We're right in that range. So the question here is, do we break above the PDH from yesterday? Do we break above the daily 50 and the daily 100? And can we get further upside? If we do, there's a lot of room to run. And I think if we can get above one of these three levels here, there's probably going to be a lot of upside in the market. Do we get that today? I'm not sure that we do. Again, the NQ was the outperformer in the markets yesterday by quite a bit. So we'll see. Does it have enough steam to continue? The couple areas, the levels that I've got marked above, obviously this is that quadruple top high that we've looked at for quite some time. We also have the daily 50 sitting here. Definitely need a break above that for longs. Probably, I'm a little bit hesitant to take a break and retest long over PDH, yesterday's high of day, because of that daily 20s or daily 50 sitting there, and because of that quadruple top high. I really want to see us get above there. If we do have the daily 100 we're longing into. And then this level right here, this thin little red area, is this Wednesday. I think it's a Wednesday. It's a low from the 29th of January right here, which corresponds with this overnight high right before we had this big drop off. So if we can get above that, I think we do have room to run. This level right here that I've got, the third one above price here, it is corresponding with just the lows from this last consolidation range we've had. We had a lot of reactions around this last consolidation range in that area. May or may not be significant, but I've had it on my charts for some time, and I'm leaving it there. So that's what we're looking at on the upside. To the downside, I think this is the line in the sand. We have to hold this. Well, this is still an upside play, but we have to hold this level. If we lose yesterday's lows and we drop right back into this channel, that's going to be ugly. I do think if we can get a pullback, and it might actually be the best long, is to get a pullback into yesterday's low for a bounce long. That may be the best, a pullback long, which really would be a break and a retest of that level on a big picture play. I also marked out this Friday high. I cannot get away from this Friday high from back here on, what day is this? The 6th, February 6th, the 6th. I cannot get away from that Friday high. For some reason, I just feel like that high has some significance, so I do have it on the charts. Maybe we get a pullback, and that's your spot to take a reclaim long off of that area, possibly. This green area that I've got is really these overnight lows, kind of a range of these overnight lows. This may or may not be significant at all, but I did want to mark it just to see what happens to price today. Not saying that I'm going to take a trade off of it, but I wanted to know where it's at on the smaller time frame chart. So that's what we're looking at there. So really, definitely bullish on the market. We have to see, do we get a pullback in a long? Do we get some continuation longs to the upside? Or to the negative side really would be, do we lose yesterday's low and go right back into the range? If we do, we might see another, it could get a little bit ugly if that happens, but we shall see. I wouldn't be surprised the way this price has reacted in the overnight session. We've rejected yesterday's high of day, the New York session high, so we may get a pullback to some area. How deep that pullback is, I don't know, but that we could be seeing some kind of a pullback and then looking to set up a long off of that, and maybe back up into these highs. So we'll see. And maybe it's more of a quiet day with the outperformance yesterday. The one thing too that I am looking for maybe a pullback along is when you have a straight up move like we had yesterday, there's a good chance that we'll get a straight down move to retest that area. So may not happen today, but at some point we want to look at that. I mean, look at this. We had a drop I mean, really a further drop here back on the 12th, and then, excuse me, and then yesterday, as we broke this area, this triple top high, we had a shoot to the upside. So very, very possible that we get some kind of a pullback. And so, again, I think the biggest thing for me is longs. I'm looking for longs. It's a matter of, is it a continuation break and retest to some of these structure highs, or is it a pullback reclaim long on some of these lower levels from yesterday? But again, line in the sand, we have to hold PDL. Cannot break that. If we do, we're back down into some nasty territory. ES, similar picture on ES. I'd say I'm less confident right now, and maybe this changes today, but here's that Friday high. That Friday high that we talked about on the NASDAQ, that is exactly where the high was yesterday in the New York session. So I feel like if we break that, we do have a nice upside potential up into these highs, kind of this quadruple top high on the ES. And so that would be a look. If we get a pullback again, I do think similarly to NQ, I don't want us to lose yesterday's high of day. The line in the sand really is this high coming from, let's see, this is the high from Wednesday. If we lose the high from Wednesday, we're right back into the range. So again, looking for pullback longs to yesterday's low of day. That might be good. Pullback long there, pullback to this high. The thing that I'm concerned about if we drop below yesterday's low of day is now we've also dropped below the daily 20. On ES, we are above the daily 20, above the daily 50, above the daily 100. And that does bode well for bullish, for the bulls. So I really want to see that hold. I think, I think this has to be our line in the sand right here, the yesterday's low of day, which is also corresponding with these lows here that we had before this little quadruple top high and this drop. So definitely looking for that. I did mark out this kind of intraday or overnight low from last night in this little green band. That is also the kind of where the move happened yesterday. So yesterday morning, let's actually dive into the 1 minute chart. I want to show you that because this area right here, and I don't know what significance it has as of yet. Maybe it's nothing, but this was where the flip happened, where the market actually started to run on ES yesterday, and then this is exactly where we pulled to in the overnight lows. So let me just go into the smaller time frame chart. This is the 1 minute chart. Let me just zoom in here a little bit, and I'll show you this. Whoops, wrong. So look at this. Now we're looking at yesterday. This is yesterday's New York session. This was the morning move. And the trade I took off of this, area that we had this high, this was the trade I was looking for. But then at this point, we had this flip, and right there you had these wicks right at this level, the top end of this range. And that's when this market really started to run yesterday. And in the overnight session after the NVIDIA earnings, we pulled right back into that same range, and that ended up being the low. So does that offer some level of significance today? I don't know again, but that's why I put this on the charts today. So we'll be monitoring that. Maybe we get a pullback long off of this, pullback long to these lows. Again, line in the sand, we have to hold the daily 20. Let's make sure that we don't drop below then. There, if we do, we're right back into some problematic territory. To the upside, again, we don't have as far to run for all-time highs on ES. So ES all-time highs are sitting right here. We don't have that far to go. Definitely probably pullback longs, or do we get a break and retest long above PDH and above that Friday high, which just to me seems to have a lot of significance for some odd reason. And do we have something there? So definitely looking for some longs on multiple options on ES. Dow Jones didn't do much. In fact, no changes to the levels at all. Nothing has changed since yesterday. We're bouncing right up against the daily 20. That's what was the high of day yesterday, is the daily 20. And we've just kind of consolidated since then. So definitely need a break and retest above. We need a break of that from further upside. And I think really don't want to see us fall below yesterday's lows, or really the lows of this little range, this lower point right here. If we drop below that, we definitely could see further downside. If the NASDAQ and the ES drop below some of those key areas that we talked about, if we see drops below this area on like the NASDAQ, Then I think some of the downward trending moves on ES or on the Dow Jones, if I can speak properly, may be more enticing. I'm not really excited about that drop on ES or NQ. However, if that happens on those two indices, maybe that sets up some shorts on the Dow Jones and possibly the Russell. To the upside again, if we do get some kind of a pullback long, I could definitely see that we are longing into that daily 20, but I'm not that excited unless we can get above the daily 20 or we get below this range low from this area from, what is this, from February the 12th through basically early this week. If we drop below then we're looking at below that area, then we're looking for something to the downside. So kind of a monitor situation with the Dow Jones. Russell, again, nothing has changed on the levels from yesterday. Definitely looking for a break and retest above PDH, testing these areas up here. So same game plan there. If we lose yesterday's low of day, you lose the daily 50 sitting down here below. Now you have some opportunity to the downside. So again, kind of monitoring on the Russell. Maybe we have a little play setting up. But again, I think the big thing is we definitely want to watch. I want to watch the NASDAQ. It was the outperformer yesterday. Do we have enough gas in the tank to push this thing higher? Whether it's a continuation break and retest to some of these levels above or a pullback long, what does that occur today? Or are we going to lose this area and go right back into the range? So I think that's the big watch is we need to see what does this tell us, and then we take trades accordingly, whether it's on NQ, whether it's on ES, or do we get some kind of outlier setups on the Dow Jones or the Russell. So that's the plan for today. Trade it well, keep your head on straight, make some money out there, and we'll catch up with you on the next one. Take care, and so long.